Well, if she had any profitable years in her business, it might make sense to go back and amend returns. With the new net operating loss rules, you can go back to 2015, and if you overpaid, normally you'd have to carry that forward over time, but they've made it unlimited, or at least up to the full amount of taxable income versus 80%, and they got rid of some alternative minimum tax things, so that would be one place to go. Money can be complicated. Let a nerd help you. We're here to demystify the complex nature of money by getting you answers from financial nerds and whiz kids. Welcome to Ask the Money Nerds, a weekly segment of the Wealth Labs podcast where we answer your most pressing money questions. Do you have loans that are high interest? Do you wonder how to get ahead if you have credit cards, student loans, or other payments that are weighing you down? If you hear that you should invest, where do you get the money? How do you maintain the right credit to be able to access loans or be ready for opportunities as they arise? In today's Ask the Money Nerds, we have a question from someone trying to invest, but at the same time has a 24% interest rate on a credit card. Do you know how you can go back and get money back from the IRS or get $10,000 from the SBA? Or there are two other places you're likely to find money you don't even know you had. I think the number of options to solve this problem will kind of surprise you. There are many, and if you want to pay off loans, but not sure if those dollars might be better off to invest, well, we're going to give you the formulas, we're going to give you the strategies, so listen up. All right, Chief of Staff Stolby, you ready for this today?
I'm ready to dive in.
All right.
You know, after being away for a few episodes, it's good to be back.
Well, and candidly, I prepared more for this than I do most Ask the Money Nerds. We decided we're going to start,
dialing things in a bit.
Yeah, come on. Got to up it a notch.
Yeah, we are.
Answer those critics. Like, I'm going to have to start listening and not interrupting in case someone felt like they needed to tell me that for the 800th time.
I was going to say, we've had some feedback on that. But that's from a lot of the older videos.
Yeah, I'm getting better.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely are.
There was nowhere to go but up. But yeah, let's go.
Okay, let's dive in. The question today is from Sylvia. And she says, I'm trying to figure out what to do with my business credit card. I have a balance of just over $9,000. I no longer have the business. I have made my payments on time every month, but the interest rate is over 24%. I have cash to pay it off, but I'm nervous about using my cash for this credit card because I'm working on purchasing a mobile home park. My desire is to buy the park within the next 3 to 6 months. What should I do? So what advice do you have for Sylvia?
Well, if she had any profitable years in her business, it might make sense to go back and amend returns. With the new net operating loss rules, you can go back to 2015, and if you overpaid, normally you'd have to carry that forward over time, but they've made it unlimited, or at least up to the full amount of taxable income versus 80%, and they got rid of some alternative minimum tax things, so that would be one place to go. Mm-hmm. Another place to go would be missingmoney.com, because as a business owner, someone may have mailed a check and it didn't get to her because she moved or changed addresses or whatever it might be. And so I think I've found 5 or 6 over the years. It becomes state property, but you can reclaim it.
It all adds up.
Right. That adds up. That would be another thing. And even looking at like a balance transfer to a credit card on the personal side, the disadvantage of the personal credit card versus a business credit card is it will actually show up on your credit. If it's truly a business credit card, it's only going to show up on her credit if she defaults and she's looking to maybe go get a loan for this mobile home park. So that's something to consider. So let's look at some formulas here. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a question about the credit card first. So are you suggesting it's a good idea for someone to have a business line of credit and have it show up on their credit?
No,
report?
A business line of credit's nice not to have show up on your credit.
Okay, so you don't want that. Okay.
Right, because it's your utilization rate. Mm-hmm. So let's say that you have $10,000 available to you, you spend $5,000. You're at, 50% utilization rate. That can actually start to decrease your credit score. And if you get up to 100% utilization rate, it most certainly will. Mm. But if it's a business line of credit or a business credit card or a commercial building, that doesn't reflect on your personal credit score. So you could even be late on your payments, and as long as you don't default, it doesn't actually hurt you like it would on the personal side.
Got it. Yeah, that's a really good thing to note.
Yeah, every now and again I have some knowledge
little
in this
nuggets
brain.
of
What
wisdom.
can I say? So let's look at the cash flow index and the investment index. I think this is really important. So any loans that anyone has, if they just take the loan balance of each individual loan and divide it by the minimum monthly payment, or just what they're required to pay, not if they're paying extra, right? Because sometimes people pay extra to try to pay them off.
Yeah.
That'll spit out a number. Less than 50 is a cash hog. Means that you don't have a lot of money to the institution, but you have a pretty high payment that's going out. A higher number, like 100 or above, is a pretty efficient loan. You've got a decent amount of money out there in comparison to a smaller payment, so it's better for your cash flow. Mm-hmm. So on the investment index is where we'd look like, what's her down payment to get this mobile home, the park or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then what's the cash flow coming in after expenses? So whatever her investable amount is divided by the cash flow that comes in monthly after those expenses is her investment index. She wants a low score on the investment index and a high score on the cash flow index. See, because the cash flow index, you're looking at it from the institution's perspective. They want a low score. You want a high score.
Yeah.
On the investment index, you're kind of the investor, so you want that low score, right? So
Definitely.
So that's just important to note. So if you have a really low investment index and a really high cash flow index, it might make sense to keep the loans and just keep the money invested. If it's flip-flop where we got really low cash flow index and really high investment index, you're not doing as well at creating cash flow as the institutions that are requiring money from you are. And our game is economic independence. So how do people create recurring revenue to cover their expenses from assets? And that cash flow is what we're measuring. Are you better at just paying something off and it frees up your cash flow more certainly and confidently? Or are you better to invest that cash and to create that cash flow?
And that's one of the things that, there are many systems and philosophies around how you pay off debt. The debt snowball being one of them that feels really common for people. And that's something that system doesn't really take into place is cash flow. It's about paying off the debt and putting so much money towards
I don't know what that is. So maybe you could teach me.
The debt snowball?
Yeah.
Well, you're just putting more money towards your highest interest credit card.
Yeah, my problem with
without considering everything that you've said.
I'm looking at cash flow.
Yeah.
Interest rate will be considered, but it won't be the only consideration.
Yes.
So part of the ways that you can improve your cash flow index is, let's just say you had a paid off car. That's a good loan to refinance. And most people don't think, you can refinance a car. We think of refinancing a home, but a car is easier to refinance. It's a really low interest rate a lot of times, 1.9, 2.9%. And if you could pay off a much higher interest rate loan, like a 24% interest rate loan, that could be substantially beneficial. Or even refinance a home where there might be equity in that home that can pay off the loans. I have to say, here's the caveat.
What's that?
If you are a spender, don't do that. You're just going to go get right back into debt. So we have to look at, why do people have these loans? This is someone who had it because of a business. So that's understandable. It wasn't like they were going on trips and buying consumable goods and, clothes and fancy drinks or whatever it is that they didn't have the cash for. It was for a business, and now they're looking to invest. So I think cash flow index versus investment index is really useful. I think finding money at missingmoney.com can be super useful.
Yeah, I went and looked. I don't have any.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stolba.
Well, I guess it's good news. I have all the money that I should have.
Is it bad news that I've gotten like 6 or 7 checks over my lifetime? My mom goes and looks for me because
she's great. She's always looking out for you.
She's like, hey, I need your birth certificate. She says,
if it's $36 or $3,600,
mine have all been like $500, $1,000, that kind of stuff. So
it's cash that's rightfully yours. So take it.
Dollars, yo.
Yeah.
So missingmoney.com. I'm looking to balance transfer to another loan that might be a lower interest rate, like another type of credit card, or look at maybe some of the crazy things going on with the CARES Act, like, depending on when their business was in force, and maybe if that's not enforced because of the crazy things in the economy, there might be some, money that could come in to handle some of these things, including that credit card that you might have to pay back. So, there's a lot of things that can be done here. I think that the net operating loss for taxes is probably one of the biggest things, because if there were any profitable years for her business in the last 5 years, she might be able to go back where she had to pay tax that year and say, actually, I could take a full amount of loss from another year and go ahead and, instead of moving it forward is what people are having to do if it was above 80% of their net income. That's now not capped. It can go up against all of the income. And there isn't some alternative minimum tax issues. So it's worth looking into, of going back and see if anything was overpaid, or if the new rules that have come out with this new IRS notices, with the COVID-19 craziness that's happening. So look, that's quite a few options that we're looking at to find and access cash.
Now, does this matter if her business is no longer operating? Does that impact the new kind of regulations and changes with COVID?
Depends on if it went out because of this.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That might be part of the issue.
We don't know that information from the question.
And if it was Q1, then there might still be some money available, to cover some of those expenses.
Yeah. And in the financial space, I know there's lots of, abbreviations and acronyms for things. So sometimes the net operating loss is just referred to as NOL.
NOL. Yep.
NOL. So just look out for that, Sylvia.
And that's a tax thing. If you had years where you had profit and other years where you had a loss, normally you can't get your full write-off during the year of a loss, and it's capped at 80% of the income The next year, that's now 100%, and we can go back further than we did before. So definitely something
Seems
to
like
look
good
into.
news. One thing, I have a question. With her interest rate, 24%, that's feels high, but it also feels pretty common for credit card interest rate. So do you just want to briefly touch on cost of money?
Yeah, well, let's talk cost of money and let's see what we can do to help people improve their odds of getting better interest rates.
Yeah.
Good credit score, 760 or above, which they can go to some of our videos on credit. We have several here on the channel.
Definitely.
Right. The second thing is good collateral. That's why if you refinance a home or refinance a car, you get a much better interest rate than just a straight up, line of credit or credit card or something that there's no collateral attached to it.
And you can only refinance a car if your car is fully paid off.
I don't know. I think you could, if you had equity, you might have to go to a different institution.
Okay.
We're going to have to ask the nerds.
We need to bring in another
I
nerd.
just think of it as, paid off. But I would imagine if there's equity, if someone's willing to lend and give you that equity, realizing a car is a depreciating asset. So there might be a little bit of dynamic there on how much they're willing to lend out.
Yeah. Okay.
So then cash flow reporting is the next thing, just getting your financial house in order so you look good to the institution and the right connections. Some lenders are better at lending on one thing versus another. And so, is this going to be a business or could it be considered a business with this mobile home park? Because there's really, really low interest rates with the SBA, even though expect it to be painful to get that loan.
Yeah.
There's
be a
some
long
cost.
process.
It's not the interest rate as much. So you asked about cost of money. So cost of money is either like 24% with the interest that she's paying, right? At 24%, it's like, hey, anytime you spend $1, you're not just spending $1, you're spending $1.24, right? Or it could be the highest return that you can get. Let's say that she could get 30% on this mobile home park in the first year. So that's 30%. That's not really sustainable long term, but maybe up front it would be. So it's your highest, best rate of return that you can count on for a long period of time, or the highest rate of return that you're paying for use of your money. And that's our cost of money. And that's kind of a hurdle or a benchmark to say, hey, I'm not going to do something unless it's going to beat that. And so the investment index versus cash flow index will be helpful to know if it's to pay it off or if it's to invest, and also understanding cost of money. Yeah. Because if the rate of return is a lot less than 24%, paying that loan off is a guaranteed 24% savings, which is very much like a 24% return.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's something that as people are spending on credit cards, they don't realize that if they have a 24% interest rate, every dollar that I spend is $1.24. That adds up over time.
Your facial expressions as you do this crack me up.
I feel passionate about some of this stuff and I get surprised. And if you stop and really think about it, it has a huge impact on your financial life.
Still, but for the people.
Yes, I am for the people, the voice of the people.
All right, so we covered the cash flow index. Loan balance divided by minimum monthly payment. Hopefully it's over 100. If it's less than that, you either want to refinance or reallocate other funds to pay it off. The investment index, how much did you put into something divided by the cash flow that comes in? Hopefully that's less than 50, because that's where you're the one that's putting the money out and you want it back as quick as possible. You can look at the business credit card, maybe becoming a personal credit card as far as a balance transfer, if that's at all possible. You can look at maybe refinancing a home if you're responsible enough not to just go spend that money, but that could be really low interest rate. That could be, even in today's world with interest rates so low, get everything at a better interest rate with that. Or even refinance a car if it's paid off, and we got to find out, what if it's not paid off? Well, we know it's got to at least have equity. You could even learn about the CARES Act and get money from the payroll protection program potentially. There's a $10,000 option, but it's only $1,000 per employee. That's kind of this advance. And then go to missingmoney.com, see if there's any money there for you. And something for any business owner to look at is net operating losses. If you've been operating, you go all the way back to 2015 to see if you had caps or anything like that. So like I said, a lot of options from one question. Thanks for asking the questions. Go to askthemoneynerds.com, ask your question, and remember, build the life you love.